You ever find that you get some negative feedback from somebody and you're just like, that is such a projection that has nothing to do with me. It's just them and they're in a bad mood or they don't like me or whatever it is. So you get the feedback and then you just push it away. We're going to talk about this today and what's beneficial with that and what's not so beneficial. So stay tuned. And if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. My name is Robin Smith. I'm a trauma and relationship coach. And maybe you're watching me on my YouTube channel, Rock Your Relationship with Robin Smith, or maybe you're in my Rock Your Relationship Sisterhood Facebook group, where we have conversations and you can ask questions. So wherever you are, welcome. And I'm happy to be with you today. And we're going to talk about opening to feedback. So first, I'm going to share a story with you that is a recent interaction that I had that got me thinking about this topic again. This is a topic I've been living with and through for the last 12 years or so and find it super powerful and transformational. So that's why I want to bring it to you today. So last week here in Costa Rica, I was assisting a friend who was teaching a retreat for therapists who were doing some continuing education. And actually very cool because they were learning about psychedelic assisted therapy. So it was a pretty alternatively minded group of therapists, pretty open to, all different ways of working. And I was so honored to be able to support. And my role was to keep answering people's questions, to make sure that I'm keeping the time for the teacher so everyone's in their seat at the right time, remind them about the schedule and things like this. So just holding the space in certain ways. So one night we all went out to dinner, and at the end I needed to pay for my meal, and I was standing at the bar and interacting with the guy who was taking payments and handing him my credit card and this type of thing. And the woman next to me was in the retreat. She was sitting at the bar, and she started up a conversation about one of the last meetings that we had. And the way she asked it took me aback because I didn't quite grok her phrasing and I had to kind of think about it. I don't remember the whole course of events, but I think at some point the other owner came up to me and I was excited to meet her. And then he had the credit card slip for me to sign. And so I was, my attention was split. And that often happens, right, at a party. And that was also what was happening, I'm guessing in the retreat as well, because I had people coming up to me wanting things during the breaks and whatnot. And I was trying to attend to a lot of people. Anyway, so I didn't realize it, but I must not have finished the conversation with her. And so I completed my payment, left the area, went outside to look I had a car of people waiting for me. And she came up to me and said, I just want to tell you something. I think you're going to be able to receive this. But she said, I just think you are so rude. I have had many conversations with you, and every time you've just not finished the conversation and you've gotten distracted. And I just find that incredibly rude. And you call yourself a healer. And, I just thought you should be wanting to know this. And I was like, whoa, like I've never had someone tell me I'm rude. And I don't think that's a very skillful way to say it. And she looked really inebriated. Her eyes were glassy and sparkly. And I think she'd been sitting at the bar for quite a while. Anyway, so I was just taken aback. And I said, okay, thank you for that information. I didn't know that, and I apologize. And I'm sorry that you felt that way. And I was really stirred up by it, got in the car and shared it with the other therapists who were in their car. And they were like, what? Like, we don't experience you that way. And she was incredibly rude to say that. And so I got, validation in a way, but it kind of shook me because I've never had someone speak to me like that. About that topic either. And my first reaction was like, she's drunk, she's just projecting, and that was rude. And she's a therapist and she should know how to communicate that a lot more skillfully, even if she thought I was rude. To say you're rude, I teach communication, like I know how to do that more skillfully. I would say something like, I was upset or I was hurt when you didn't finish our conversation, instead of that kind of blamey, judgy criticism. So I was all defended and also kind of deciding that she was projecting on me, and it really wasn't true. And then I thought about it a little bit longer, a little bit later, and I thought, I don't remember any other interactions with her, honestly, where that happened. And I knew for sure this must be her issue. It seemed to be like triggering a wound for her. So I'm guessing that that's true. I don't really know. But I also was taking in like, well, what might be true for me here? Because I do know that it is difficult for me when I've got my attention split with multiple people. And I think I'm probably not that skillful. And I could have said something like, oh, I'm sorry, I need to talk with this person. I want to get back to our conversation. And I do know how to do that. And in fact, I did do that with somebody earlier in the day, made sure I came back around to what we were talking about. But for whatever reason with her, I did not at that time. Anyway, so I took the grain of truth that was there for me, or the piece of truth, if you will, that was there for me, and realized, yeah, I could do better with that for sure. And so this is what I'm bringing to you today, because so often people receive negative feedback that is hurtful, that is critical, that doesn't feel good. And you also may have a sense that often when that happens, it's someone's own stuff that they're just projecting on you. They're deciding, it's your fault that I feel bad, or, it's their issue. And then they're especially triggered by anything small, and they make it really big. And so it's easy to think, if you sense in that way that might be happening, that this has nothing to do with me, this is all about you, even if you don't say that to them. And then you don't receive the feedback. You just go, that's not mine. And while I think there's some value to that, that's not for me, that's your stuff, that can be definitely helpful. And I teach that to my clients. I also think there's a lot of value in taking in, like, what is something that's here for me? Because clearly I did something that triggered something in somebody else. Doesn't mean I caused them to feel a certain way, but my behavior did spark something in them. And so what do I have to learn from this? How can I grow from this? And so these are some questions you could be asking when you get some feedback that you don't like, if you do want to grow, and you don't just want to stay the same and think, well, I have my act together and they don't, so it's their problem, not mine. So when we do that, it's like we're closing off the opportunity for growth. But when we open to a little moment of curiosity, what could I be learning from this? What piece of that is true for me? I've got some other questions for you. I wonder why I keep hearing this message. So if you hear it multiple times, then you got to start thinking, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. If you hear it from more than one person, or from the same person multiple times, it's time to start getting more curious about, what am I doing? How am I being that might actually be, creating this unhealthy dynamic? So that's the gist of what I wanted to share with you. I hope you take that in and you open to this feedback that I'm giving you, and you consider looking at your interactions with more of that mind of curiosity, because it's when you bring that instead of the judgment or the defensiveness, which closes it off. When you bring the curiosity, you're opening. And when you open, you are more receptive to whatever anyone is saying, and you're also going to be opening the channel of communication and connection. So you always have the choice whether to close the channel of connection and communication or to open it. And I'm not saying you should agree 100% with every feedback that you get, but you want to be trying it on, thinking, being receptive. If you want to grow, what might be true here for me? And then your relationships can continue to deepen, and you can continue to have experience, especially, I didn't mean experience, you can continue to have connection, deepen connection, especially with the people you care about, when you are open to their perspective, their feedback, their experiences. So I hope you find that helpful. If you want some more communication tips, check the link below where I have my free ultimate communication checklist. I give you a ton of quick, easy 10 communication tips you can be looking at and see if you're practicing these things. And then if you're not, how to learn from that. And then if you do get that checklist, you'll also get on my email list to receive my weekly links to these videos, as well as my weekly relationship tips in your inbox, a short email with a relationship tip. Of course, you can unsubscribe anytime, but if you want that checklist, go ahead and click that link below. And also, I'm putting a link for my Rock Your Relationships Sisterhood Facebook group if you want more interaction with women on the path to healing their relationships. And if you want to ask me some questions, I'd love to meet with you there. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe so I can reach more people on the channel and we can start changing the society with healthier, happier, and satisfying relationships. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.